Really close to your microphone. I'm going to stand because you're not going to know the difference if I'm sitting or standing anyway. And I've got to get my headphones. Are we on? We're on Facebook. You guys, this Boys in the Band. They're right here.
Woo!
They're right here.
Hi!
Jesse Reynolds,
Yeah.
the co-host of
My
the Goes
usual
with
chair.
Dahlia Kurtz. It has his butt imprint on it.
I love you.
All right. Well, thank you. Fozzie Bear said that to me before I left the house today too. So now I know two people love me, Fozzie Bear and Jesse Reynolds. Good morning, hello. This is not just on 580 CFRA right now. This is on Facebook Live because it's a true theatrical game changer. It helped spark the revolution by putting gay men's lives on stage, and the cast from its latest incarnation in Ottawa has joined me. And I can't believe that this premiered off-Broadway in 1968, because thinking back to that time when Leslie Roberts came out publicly as a gay man yesterday in 2019, and it took that long for him to come out and for the mayor to come out so recently, and to think that in 1968 this play went on stage, premiered off-Broadway, that is so difficult to even make that association. But we have somebody here who is part of Toto 2's theater right here in Ottawa, the award-winning LGBTQ theater company that's putting on Boys in the Band at the Gladstone Theater until October 19th. And one of the people with us, I know that this guy to my left thinks that I'm going to introduce him first, but I can't. I have to introduce the man who starred, or who was part of the cast in 1974. Yeah. It's director right now, Jim McNabb. Welcome to the good, sir.
74, that's a long time ago.
1974, was everything in black and white then?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, it was an interesting choice of production at that time here in Ottawa, and it did get protests, people outside the theater, people who were both straight who were protesting this controversial play, and members of the gay committee saying that this is not the way we are anymore. We have changed. A lot had happened in the 5 years since the show had opened in New York.
Is it a controversial play, or do people make it a controversy in their minds? That's another question to get to. As I introduce the rest of the cast who have joined us here at 87 George Street, we have Dave Coleman. He plays the role of Cowboy.
Hello.
Welcome to the good, sir. Just looking at your shirt, always be yourself, unless you can be Batman.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yes.
Or Captain America, my boyfriend Chris Evans. Also with us right now, we have Luc Cormier. He plays the role of Emory. You were given the best name from all of the characters.
Well, thank you. Good morning. Emery's a fun character to play, and he's pretty sassy and funny, and it's a good part.
And this guy over here, I cannot for the life of me picture you as a Larry.
Oh, I
Jesse
become Larry.
Reynolds.
Larry is the best name. What do you got against Larrys?
It's not, I have nothing against Larry's. I can't picture, like, for instance, what name could you not picture me as? What name would just not work for
Dorothy.
me? Dorothy? I'm so Wizard of Oz, though.
Okay, yeah, well, if you pick that Dorothy, maybe. I don't know.
See,
Bethel?
but Bethel, is that a name? You're just making things up like Jim McNabb over here. How could that be a real name? That sounds like such a stage name. Jim
Well, it
McNabb.
is kind of a stage name.
We're digging deep here. What's your real name, Jim McNabb?
Bartholomew Peck.
I like Bartholomew. I like that. Very good. So Boys in the Band, this is on stage right now in Ottawa. You know what I wonder? Because I still see people getting flack when they come out now. I still see the remarks online. I still see, when people question, how is it a big deal that somebody's coming out now? Well, if they're not coming out for most of their life, it's telling you it is a big deal. You just are not in their shoes, and you don't have to go through it. So I wonder, what has it been like with this premiere right now for Boys in the Band? Have you received any of that reaction that is unfavorable, Jesse?
I wouldn't say unfavorable, but one thing that stuck out to me with some of the reviews we've gotten, because this is a comedy and it's very funny, but a lot of people that have come to see it say they wouldn't say they enjoyed it because it sort of makes you uncomfortable. It does dig into a lot of those deeper issues that you mentioned. So although it's funny, there's a lot of things that kind of slap you in the face and make you realize what life was like for these guys back in '68, and a lot of gay people are still living today.
Well, let's look back then to 1974 when it premiered here in Ottawa. What do you think is still the same from 1974 in 2019, and what's the big difference, Jim?
Wow. Well, gays nowadays are way more open. I had a long career as a high school teacher, and the difference for kids between when I started in 1967 and when I retired in 2000, kids just are so much more open. It is such a non-deal to be gay in high school these days. Whereas it was an absolute necessity to be a secret back then. Things that are the same, I think there's still discrimination within the gay community nowadays. I think there still is a bit of self-loathing, particularly if you are maybe above 30. There still is that residual self-hate. Kids who are in their teens now, I hope, will not experience that, because there just doesn't seem to be a stigma anymore for kids. I don't know, but every school has a gay-straight alliance. Kids are very open about it, and they start coming out maybe when they're age 9 or something. So things have changed, but some things have not.
So boys in the band, the boys were put back together to relaunch this now in 2019. Have you changed anything about the play in its presentation, in the artistry? Has anything, what's evolved for you? This is open to all of you. We have Jesse here, we also have Luc, we also have Dave, and Jim, who's the director. So I guess let's go Jesse, and then we'll move around.
Well, one thing that I think has stayed the same is how kind of jokingly mean these guys are to each other, because gays can be very sassy among their group of friends, and so it's nice to see that behind closed doors anyway, these guys could be themselves, they could tease each other and still have a good time, but outside they can't be that way. So it's really freeing to be at a party like this and be themselves. So I like how the gays are still sassy with each other the way we are today.
What do you think, Emory?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, I'll echo that, but I think when I watched the movie, before when I heard they were doing the play and I wanted to learn more about it, I thought, this is quite old, and is it going to be kind of dated? And I was surprised at how much of like the same kind of banter still happens with my friends, and then I think so a lot has changed, a lot hasn't, but I think for me, my character is kind of very effeminate, and I think some of the times in society we can kind of accept people who are gay, who are kind of more mainstream or like not that gay. So I think what I enjoy about my character is that he kind of doesn't really care what other people think, and he just is unapologetically himself. So I think, but there's still some stigma around kind of being effeminate and kind of the gender expression side of things, I think.
But that not caring what people think, and I think this happens a lot, especially in our society, because people love to think and make judgments, especially with Instagram and all those sorts of things. I wonder if there's an extent to which we say, and we really believe it, that we don't care what people think because we're just building up our own protective wall to keep us safe. And if you keep reminding yourself, I don't care what people think, maybe at some point you're going to believe it. But I think because we're creatures who want to connect, at the very core of it all, we want to connect, we want to love, we want to be loved. We all need that. Everybody cares what other people think to some extent. Do you have that vulnerability in your character? Yeah,
I think, especially at the party, within the walls of their friends, I think there's a lot more a liberty within how he acts. And then there is a character who kind of intrudes the party.
Is that Larry?
No.
Larry intrudes.
I feel like Jesse Reynolds would actually. We need a character for Jesse Reynolds. And what about Cowboy? Dave, how do you see the play?
Well, this is probably my biggest introduction to the community in these past couple months. Haven't associated much, but I gotta say that I love being a part of it. The play itself, I'm not too sure because I can't get into the mindset of the other characters. My character is very much an outsider who gets brought in. He doesn't know anybody, and he's just kind of trying to get his bearings with everything that's going on.
Now it sounds like my life story. So if you're just joining us right now, Boys in the Band, and you can see this on Facebook Live. It's at Gladstone Theatre until October 19th. It premiered off-Broadway in 1968, putting gay men's lives on stage. So everybody, you're at a party, and there's a game. I want to know what this game is at this party that is so life-changing that it blows people's minds on stage, and that it's really this is part of the play itself. What is this game, Jesse?
I don't know if we can reveal it. You got to come
Can
to the
you
show,
reveal
Jim. Over to you. What's the game?
It's a truth game,
Oh, no.
which is very daunting.
Should we have our political leaders play
Each and
this?
every character.
Mhm.
So it's a very frightening game because things have to be revealed about yourself and your past, which every character is very hesitant to do.
You know what? I've had 2 theatrical presentations on in the past hour now, and I feel as though this is giving me way more insight into how we should run our political election. And I feel like that sounds like, instead of the debates, that sounds like something that we should be doing. They should be playing this game.
Oh, boy.
But then nobody would say anything, would they?
They would have some way to avoid the question altogether.
Sure. It's a nasty game. Michael, who instigates the game, is trying to get people to either
So it is
fight.
perfect for politics.
Yeah, I guess so. But his intentions are not the best with instigating this game, and like Jim said, it causes all of the characters to reveal a very vulnerable part of themselves, which is very moving, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the game was as you say, Michael creates this game because Michael, I think, of all of the characters who are damaged, Michael is the most damaged. He does not want to be gay, and I think his way is striking out at each person to humiliate them more than even he feels humiliated about being gay.
So, when you talk about the little nuances in this play, Boys in the Band, and they've joined us here on The Goods, I'm Dahlia. You can watch this on Facebook Live right now. It's interesting because we keep talking about gay, but you could replace the word gay with anything, because this is a lot about human psychology and human condition and how we treat each other.
The relationships shown in this play are universal. I don't know whether it's ever been played by a group of women or not. But it could be.
It's played by a group of women every day. Hang out in the washroom with me, you'll see.
Oh.
But it really, and I think that's what I wish that so many people would take from something like this. Not even necessarily the messages that you're trying to send about the gay community, but about community. And how really, when it comes down to it, we are all so very similar.
Yeah.
And that's what a play like this is really. I know it's showcasing, and it brought out this whole idea of putting gay men's lives on stage. But I think by doing that, hopefully it's not just showing this is what gay is, it's just showing this is what human is, and this is just other humans who are on stage living their life and showing you that we're all so alike.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of the issues between my partner and I in the play, Hank, we're dealing with monogamy problems. One of us wants monogamy, the other one doesn't. You can guess who's who. And that's something that's universal, right? Straight, gay, purple, brown, everybody deals with that in their relationships. So everyone can relate to that.
That's a whole new conversation,
Sure
because
is.
monogamy, when it comes to dating apps now, there are people who are saying we're not meant for monogamy, there's no such thing, and we're going to save that for another day. I feel like I need to invite Jesse for that one. Your butt shape will still be on that chair.
Perfect.
I am sure. So if people want to check out Boys in the Band at Gladstone Theatre, what do they need to know?
Well, it's running till the October 19th. Tickets, thegladstone.ca. And that's pretty much it. Matinees on Saturdays. We have shows at 2:30 and 7:30 every other night. And come see it. You will not be disappointed.
Is it 2:30 or 2?
Oh, geez. You tell us, Jim. You're the director.
Jim, somebody needs to put Jesse in his
2:30.
place, Jim. You do it right
2:30.
now. No, for Jim's sake, we'll just say 2 o'clock, but it is 2:30. It is 2:30.
Come at 2. Have a drink
You'll be
before.
early.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking your time to join us today. And I think it's really, really cool that you get to see this play with Jim McNabb as director. And he was one of the people who was part of this play back in 1974 when he was barely even born.
I was 6, actually.
That's my favorite age.
Which character were you, Jim?
The embryo.
The hot cross buns boy.
I've never had a hot cross buns, but I'd really like to try one now, just not in that context. I'm Dahlia. This is The Goods. Thank you to these gentlemen for taking their time to join us today. Jesse Reynolds, Luc Cormier, Dave Coleman, and Bartholomew what?
Peck.
Bartholomew Peck, Jim McNabb. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking your time to join us. All the best with Boys in the Band.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I like it, and I want to play that party game too. We are going to wrap up with that game. I'd vote for the blank party if blank were the leader. That's next right here on The Goods. I'm Dahlia. This is 580 CFRA.
Woo! Thank you, Dahlia.
Thank you.
Let's do a photo, our usual photo.
Oh yeah.